Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. No game is left behind. What year is it, you ask? We left off in 1978. November 1978, we just finished the launch titles of the APF Imagination Machine. So let's see what our next game is. All right, so we're going to go back in the arcades. It is November 1978. This is a game called Orbit. And I, like you, am checking out these games all for the first time. So it's always going to be a surprise, always going to have something new that you'll see. Maybe you'll learn something you never even knew existed in video games because we're doing them all. All right, so this is Orbit in the arcades. Let's see the artwork for Orbit. Here's the advertisement flyer looking really good. It's got to be Atari, right? Yeah, I think it's Atari. Very simple arcade cabinet. But what is Orbit? Whoa, is that the control panel? It looks way too complicated for arcade. It looks like we got 3 buttons, fire, thrust, and hyperspace, and you can move left and right. And there's some more examples. Another arcade game programmed only in black and white. Maybe we'll have an overlay to give us some color. Let's see if the manual gives us more info. This is the Operation Service Manual for Orbit in the arcade, 1978. Nice artwork for the manual. Usually these are black and white. Atari is stepping it up. And we're looking for anything that gives us what Orbit is. A lot of this table of contents is about how to set up and design your arcade cabinet. But here we go. Orbit's a 2-player game developed by Atari. The game's packaged in an upright floor resting cabinet illustrated by brightly colored orange, red, and blue graphics. Wow. Another reason we read this is because what a video game is, or how would you describe the genre or play of video game, is very interesting from the perspective of 1978. It looks like this is player operating controls mounted on a control panel directly below the TV monitor viewing screen. But what is it? What's the game? Game inspection? No, they didn't give us any information. They just told us what the arcade cabinet was. So manual is no help there. Well, let's just play it. We're in the arcades. It's November 1978. We're checking out Orbit by Atari. All right, so right off the bat, we got all the control panel. If you look down at the bottom, it has so much information. I don't even know. Usually they give us instructions on how to play. The game description just says, you know, put a coin in, and then we got game reset. But then we have so many different buttons. I don't know, you know, we can't even push all those buttons. But let's see what happens. We step into the arcade cabinet. We put a coin in, and what game do you want to play? We'll play the first one, 1 player. 1 player, maybe? Maybe? Looks like the game... Oh, I see. You pick the game you want to play. There's several games. Okay, we'll play game 1. Oh, I see. Game 1. Okay, so now I am the spacecraft on the far left. It looks a lot like the Enterprise, and I can use my thrusters to thrust through. I have a shot that I can shoot, and it looks like I'm spinning around. It's giving no gravity at all. I'm sitting in one spot, and the spaceship looks a lot like the Starship Enterprise. Big influence on video games at the time, but it looks like it looks like I got hit. Am I hitting? Can I hit the asteroid? Oh, it's messed me up. That was the game. It just got smashed by 1 asteroid. My engine got blown off, and then it's asking to put more money in. All right, well, let's do it. Put a coin in. Let's try it again. What game do we want to play? Let's try the same one again. I want to blow up those ships. Oh, I hit my own bullet. So the bullet that was shot out, I was faster than the bullet, and then I blew myself up from that. Interesting. All right, so let's try it again. I got thrusters. I got my shot, a very slow shot. Do I have any other shoot? Oh, I got warp speed. Yeah, it looks like I was able to warp into a different place, but I want to be able to hit these guys that are going around the circle here. And that's it. The game was over. How much time? What? They put me on how much time? This is a total coin sucker, man. All right, let's try another one. Let's put another coin in. We got lots of money in the arcade. And then let's try game number 2 and see what the difference is. Oh my gosh, now I have just super fast speed. So you can see my little ship's just zooming around. Does it warp through? So it looks like game 2 just goes ridiculously fast for the ship. But I still don't understand the concept. What am I shooting? Oh, I understand. On the side over here, it's telling us our energy. So when our energy runs out, the game's over. Every time I shoot I'm using more and more energy. And it looks like eventually, yeah, I'll be able to run out of fuel by playing the game. So they're giving us simulation for an arcade game. Kind of risky, Atari. A lot of the games we've seen haven't gone for simulation, it's gone for action or arcade. Let's try one more. Coin in. Let's try the different game. Let's try game 5. And if you look down at the bottom, this panel that we have here, that's what we're selecting, which game it is. So I tried first slow, bounce back, and then we're going to try, let's try expert with fast shells and see what that looks like. All right, so now I am, again, the bottom left corner. The ship looks a lot like the Starship Enterprise, but it's not. We're playing Orbit. And this one is expert, so it's using gravity. The black hole in the middle is trying to suck me in as I play, and there is a second player that looks awful lot like a Klingon ship if you're a Star Trek fan, and it is only 2 players, so the second player is not moving. So we should probably just go fly by and blow them up. And once my energy goes away, that's it. The game is over that fast. I gotta say, that's probably the least impressive Atari game we've played in the arcade, just because they went for simulation. All right, so Orbit not doing the best. This one's below average. Average for the time would be 3 stars, so we're doing 2.5 for Orbit. Not really cutting it for the arcades. I don't think simulation is the way to go for arcade. Sorry, Atari. All right, moving on to our next game. We are back at home on our home computer. We only have 3 options at this time. We got a TRS-80, the Commodore PET, and the Apple II. So this is Android NIM on the TRS-80. So just to give you a glimpse of what it's like to play on your home computer in 1978. We have no images except that one screenshot and no manual. So everyone know how to play NIM? Okay, great. Here we go. We're going to boot it up. This is November 1978. We're playing Android NIM on the TRS-80. So this one you actually have to program the disk. So after we put the disk in, we got to say what we want to load, and we want to see what's on the disk. So we first go tell us what's on here, and then we got to take a guess which one is Android NIM that we want to play. So I'm going to say it's Android. So that one we would want to type basic and go into basic, and then now we type in Android. Oh, sorry, wait. No. We type in run Android. Ooh, and does it work? I don't know. It works. We loaded a program on the TRS-80. That should be the biggest achievement right there. So this is Android NIM. Okay, it's going to give us instructions. Essentially, NIM just means there's a bunch of things on the screen. You can take out so many at a time, and you want to be the last person to take the last object. So it's kind of a math game, a mind game. They're giving us the instructions here. Wow, hear the sound effects? Is that really what the TRS-80 sounded like? Yikes. Ah, the androids are coming. Okay, so I get the first move. Let's say me. Are the androids laughing at me? We haven't had any games actually talk, like speech, for all the video games we played up to this point. This is so rudimentary. I don't really want to say they're talking, but it's a little scary to have a computer in 1978 with androids that sound like that. Yikes. So let's make me the first move. All right, so, okay, I'll start. And they're going to load up all the androids, and then what you do to play the game is you select the androids and you pull them away in a certain amount, but you have to be the last person to pull away the androids. So a very simple math game, but just to see what it looks like on the home computer compared to what we saw in the arcades. TRS-80 is still black and white. So that is it. Booting out of that one. All right, so that was Android NIM. For the time, I would consider that bad because playing a math game on the computer is pretty standard, but this one's a subpar. So we're going to give this the best of the bad 2 stars for Android NIM. All right, let's check out the next game. All right, we're back on the home console. This is the Atari 2600. This is Breakout on Atari. And we've seen lots of different versions of Breakout already. Let's see what Atari's is like. This is the artwork for the home version of Atari. Breakout has 12 games in one. Breakout, Breakthrough, pretty much 2 games with different variations. And then there's the back of it. Looks like this is played with the Atari paddle controllers that have the twist back and forth. And there you go. You see games 1 through 8 are Breakout, 9 through 12 are Breakthrough. And then example of the cartridge, actual cartridge. We've seen games that some of these games have been so old we're using cassette tapes, but Atari got it right with the cartridge and pins. Love it. All right, and there's the example of the game. We have color. Ooh. All right, so here's the manual for Breakout. Game program instructions. Use the standard paddle controllers to play. How to play Breakout. Smash, pow, crunch. A brick wall appears at the top of the screen, and your mission is to smash 2 walls off the playfield, 1 brick at a time. What, there's no story? In the arcade, Atari had the story of jailbreak, and you're supposed to break someone out, or something like that. That's the extent of story in 1978. And then it looks like we get 5 balls per game. You can also have team games, so there's lots of different variations of how you can play it, but how to play the game is pretty standard. 1, 2, 3, and this has 4 players. If you have 4 controllers, you could plug in. And then this explains what you're seeing on the screen, so we don't have to use too much imagination. The scoreboard, how many balls are left to play, the brick wall, and then the paddle and the ball. And we played Breakout, so we kind of got the idea. I want to see what it has for the other game that was on here. So controller, and then here's the Breakout games. There you go. So Breakthrough is the same. Is it the same game? Breakthrough's played the same way. The only difference is the ball action. When it hits a brick, oh, it continues to penetrate, so it doesn't bounce off the side. Okay, so that's the 2 games for it. Thanks, Atari. The other versions we have, looks like just the European version. We'll play the North American version. This is November 9th, 1978, when Breakout came out for the Atari 2600. And there it is, in all its glory. So beautiful. When the game first boots up, nothing happens, and it shows us the game modes at the very top. So if I flip the switch on the console, there's game 2, game 3, game 4, 5, and then, oh, the second one, there's Breakthrough, game 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And so each game mode, I guess, has different difficulties of how fast the ball will go. So you can see that we should have, the 12 different ones. And when we're ready to play, we just hit restart on the console, and then we're golden. So now we're playing the Breakout on the Atari. And we've seen the idea before. The first one we ever saw was the arcade version that actually didn't have a microprocessor in it, programmed by Steve Wozniak. And this one was just taking the idea. But man, have we seen so many different clones and variations of it. Everybody wanted to have the Breakout idea. So this one's the 2-player version, and sadly, I don't have a second player to join me. So we're going to reset and check out Breakthrough. That was game 5, I think. No, game 6. So let's see what Breakthrough feels like. Does it break? Oh, okay. That game mode allowed me to move the ball after I hit it. That's pretty cool. All right, let's try game 8 then and see if that's Breakthrough. What? Is it invisible? Oh, it's flashing the top. Okay, this game mode is not showing us the colors until we actually hit it. Okay, so cool. Let's go check out game... Is it game 10 then? Which one was Breakthrough? I want to see that one. There we go. Oh my gosh, and it's all crazy. Whenever I move the paddle, the ball is moving the same way after it hits. Look, I'm controlling... Crazy. Crazy games for 1978. All right, but we got the idea, and just so you know, remember, this is 1978. This had the console had a switch. You could go back and forth from black and white to color. Whoa. Whoa, man. All right, so that was Breakout. Very standard for the time. We're going to give it a 3 stars. We've seen plenty before. This is exactly average that we would want for 1978.